Hello everybody and welcome to today's video and on public demand that most of you asked for on gaslighting. So gaslighting is an energy that we that is very prevalent in society, and not recently but since forever. It's an energy that it's gaslighting, something that you do to others and to yourself as a self-abuse in the name of love. It's almost like you gaslight people by telling them how wrong they are so they can be right, or how much you love them, which is why you're wanting them to see what is so terrible about them and so wrong about them so they can finally change. It's about instilling the wrongness in them so gradually, so slowly, all in the name of love, that oftentimes the person does not even recognize that they are being gaslighted. In fact, it's when they are gaslighted is when they're really gaslighted is when they are totally burnt out. They have no, it's almost like a broken being. It's almost like so broken, so devastated that there's such a level of wrongness been instilled in that person that they're burnt out, totally burnt out. And it's often explained in Access. I love the way Gary explains it. Is that, when you put a frog into boiling water, and the frog keeps jumping because it's hot, the water's hot, but you slowly and steadily start to increase the temperature of the water, of the gas, so the water starts to get hotter and hotter, but it's so slow and it's so gradual that the frog does not even realize that it's getting burnt, and it just kind of keeps jumping and jumping, thinking that if it just jumps faster enough or jumps a little higher, it could be saved. And sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I'll just jump a little more, and I'll jump a little more, but it seems uncomfortable, but it's not uncomfortable because this is comfortable and this is where I'm supposed to be, and I just keep jumping till one day there is no energy left and you're burnt out and the frog is dead. The frog got burnt. And that's pretty much gaslighting. It's like so slowly, so slowly increasing the wrongness, accelerating the level of wrongness in the next person, that the person does not even recognize what's being done to them till they realize that, oh, I'm just burnt. And in this case, it's like when you're burnt is when you don't trust yourself anymore. You're totally dependent on the next person. You don't believe you're knowing anymore. You don't trust that you even have a knowing, and you doubt the very existence of your being. The doubting your very existence is the worst form of gaslighting. And that is something that many of us have found ourselves at the effect of, and many of us do to ourselves. And one of the easiest ways, the easiest ways to do it is with money. So every time that you say, I can't afford this, oh, I wish I could buy this, but I can't afford this. You go into the mall and you're like, or you go into the market or a store or something, and you see something and your body goes, yes, I'll have that, please. And you go into, oh, but I can't afford that. Every time you say that, you gently and slowly gaslight yourself. You gaslight your being into believing that it doesn't deserve it. You gaslight your being into believing that money is greater and more important and bigger than choice. You gaslight your being into believing that you're not worth it, and that there is no other way to have it but with money. So you're actually making money something that's really a byproduct of your choices, and really an energy that you be. You're really making that so much greater and so much more significant than you be, that it takes away the magic of creation. It takes away the magic of choice. And wherever you find yourself being choiceless, you have probably gaslit yourself, or somebody has gaslit you. And friends, this is not about going around saying, oh my God, you gaslight me, and oh my God, you just gaslit me. It's about recognizing where you gaslight yourself. It's about recognizing who gaslights you, and not about judging them for it, but to acknowledge it and be aware of it. greatest way, the greatest the antidote to gaslighting is awareness. It's not a fight. It's not a conflict. It's not going to the person and saying, you gaslit me. No, it's not that, because the minute you do that, you've gone into conflict, you've gone into a fight, you've gone into the right and wrongness. And more than often you will find when you gaslight yourself or when others gaslight you, there is no one way that you can even bring up and say, this is the way that they gaslit me. Because you don't know when that's happening. You don't know when that's showing up. You only know when you're fully burnt. Wow. So everywhere that you have been gaslit into believing that you're not worth it, believing that you're wrong, believing you're not good enough, based on other people having more money, based on other people controlling you with the power of money that allows you to trust in the power of money instead of trust in the choice and trust in the being of who you be. Would you please destroy and uncreate that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pork, online shots, boys and beyonds. This, my friends, is not to have you going into the wrongness of gaslighting yourself or you gaslighting others or others gaslighting you. This is just for an awareness of where you have been gaslit and recognizing, what if now, today is a new day? Would you choose to gaslight yourself? Or would you like to ask, what will it take to have this? You know, when something shows up and you want to buy it and you, well, pragmatically, you don't have the money right now, right? Pragmatically, you don't have the money. So practically speaking, you can't buy it because you don't have the money. That is the reason and the justification to not have it. So anywhere that you buy that as real and true, you have gaslit yourself into concluding that you cannot afford it. Instead, if you look at it and you pragmatically and practically look at it and say, well, I don't have the money as of now, but hey, what will it take to have this? Now, instead of going into conclusion of not having it, you've actually got into a question of asking for it. And when you ask for it and when you're willing to be the space of what will it take? Just the question. Allow the magic to show up. That is you being an allowance and you acknowledging the being for what it's asking for, acknowledging your body for what it's asking for, and not putting it off, not making it wrong for the ask, but knowing and energetically being the space of receiving. Because when you ask from that space, you've already created the space to receive it. But when you go into the space of saying, I can't afford it, or you can't afford it, and now is not the time because you can't afford it, we don't have the money, all of that, you have just shut the door to receiving. You've concluded that you cannot have it. So instead of going into conclusions, ask, what will it take to have this? And it's not from a space of being stupid with money, okay? It's not about that. It's really about being the energy of, what will it take? I wonder what will it take? And actually communicating, this is another wonderful tool that you can actually bring into your daily practice, is when you'd like something and you can't, right, and that moment you cannot buy it, instead of going into, but I don't have the money, but I can't afford it, and feeling sorry for yourself, or telling your children or your spouse or anybody that, no, you can't buy it because we don't have the money, and then making them almost go into the wrongness of their ask. So instead of doing that, you can actually communicate with what you would like to buy and ask it to show up in your life. Literally by saying, hey, I'd love to have you. Would you like to have me? Can you show up in my life, please? And what will it take to have you with ease, joy, and glory? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pork, online shots, boys and beyonds. Everything has energy, friends. So when you communicate with everything animate and inanimate around you, you go into a space of inclusion, and that's what starts to create communion with every molecule around you. So instead of looking at the bigger picture and saying, oh, I have to be in communion with everything and I'm not in communion, the first step is to start to acknowledge every element, every molecule around you, and to communicate with it by including it, which would have you receiving it. And like I said, every ask opens up the door for your receiving. Every conclusion ends it. And everywhere that you have been gaslit by yourself or gaslit by others into the wrongness of you, would you please destroy and uncreate that? Right, wrong, good, bad, POD POC, online, shorts, boys and beyonds. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.